Good evening, everyone. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Where am I starting? Councilman Marcochia.
Here.
Councilwoman Nicholson.
Here.
Doing it. Councilman Dooley. Councilwoman Marcotte.
Here.
Supervisor Calavita.
Here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Our first matter on the agenda after our roll call is a public hearing to consider the adoption of the Town of Eastchester 2024 calendar year budget. And before we open the hearing, I just wanted to make a note that this meeting has been noticed and that it's been set for, obviously, Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in this room. And the salaries of elected officials incorporated in said preliminary budget are as follows. Supervisor, $98,093. Council members, $88,000. Judges, $100,000. Receiver of taxes, $65,000. Town clerk, $87,605. And also the council members, that $88,000 is for 4 positions, and the judge's $100,000 is for 2 positions. Okay. So with that being said, would someone care to make a motion, open a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, please call the roll, open public hearing.
Councilwoman Nicholson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte.
Aye.
Councilman Dooley.
Aye.
Councilman Marcochia.
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita.
Aye. Okay, I'm going to ask our controller, Dawn Donovan, to go through a presentation that we have for this budget hearing to make life a little bit easier for everyone. She has it on screens, so hopefully that'll translate to those people at home. So, Dawn, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, Supervisor Calavita, members of the town board, and residents of the town of Eastchester. Okay. So basically, our 2024 budget is for $40,182,504, which represents an increase of $2.2 million over the 2023 budget. The largest portion is obviously our town outside budget. And this year, I added 2 slides showing how much you pay if you lived in the Eastchester School District, or if you're in part of the Eastchester School District and the Tuckahoe School District. So it's a little small on the screen, but basically, if you're an Eastchester resident, you pay 13% taxes compared to everything else. That's the total. So the Tuckahoe on the Eastchester schools is 51%, the county is 22%, and the fire district is like almost 13%. And here's a similar slide for the Tuckahoe School District. And according to Section 283.361 of the Westchester County Tax Law, the town of Eastchester is required to collect taxes for the 2 school districts, Westchester County, the fire district, and multiple special districts, and that we have to remit to each of those agencies whether we collect the taxes or not. And the town's tax rate is about 98.5%, and we're trending the same way for 2023. And this year marks the 13th year that the town is in compliance with the tax cap, and this year's tax cap is 2%. Our inflation factor is obviously much higher than that, but the tax cap is capped at 2%. Moody's reaffirmed our bond rating as AAA when we went out to borrow this year, and the New York State Comptroller's Office has in this fiscal stress, no stress area as well.
Right, that's an important statement. There's zero stress, 0% stress, which is very important.
This slide just shows you the tax rates per thousand for the town-wide, town outside, sewer, and the Garth Road Parking District. And as we always like to do every year, we like to break down how much you would have to pay per thousand for an average homeowner in Eastchester, Bronxville, and Tuckahoe. We break it out by month, annual, and then by month. So if you're in Eastchester with an $8,950 average assessment, your increase would be $90.64 annually, or $7.55 per month. If you're in Tuckahoe at an average of 7.3, it's $16.20 per annual, or $1.35 per month. And in Bronxville, at an average assessment of $21,650, it's $48.06 annually, or $3.80 per month. We always like to break it down per month. A couple of highlights in the budget are our health insurance is at a high rate this year. It's 14%. Retirement system is over $3 million this year. Our sales tax and mortgage tax we budgeted around the same numbers, a little bit higher than last year for sales tax and a little lower for mortgage tax. Our union contracts are all settled, so we have no increases that we have to deal with in 2024. Well, in 2024, all of them will be up for negotiations. The supervisor has no increase. The town board and the judges have the first increase since 2004. And the retirement system is a big number in our budget. So this year's obligation will be $3.1 million compared to last year at 2.7, and compared to 2003 when it was $104,000. And our staffing, we're at 143 full-time staff compared to 194 in 2003. A reduction in our workforce. We do more with less. And that concludes my presentation.
Sure, I think on that last slide, it's important to note that when you look at the pie chart of the expense breakdown for taxes, who you pay your taxes to and what you pay them for, it's important to note that approximately 65 to 70% of the amount of money that is required to run government is for benefits and payroll. So by taking out a third of the workforce, full-time workforce, obviously there's a tremendous impact on the budget, which is very important. It also, I think it's worthy to note that within the last 5 years, the town outside budget average increase has been less than 1%. So if you factor out the last 5 years, less than 1% is pretty good. We are also presently in what is undeniably, though some like to deny it, a very significant inflation period, and some say we are headed into a recession, which I certainly hope that we are not. But the inflation that we're all facing is extraordinary, particularly with regard, as Dawn had mentioned, health insurance, up 14%. It's like 14% every year. It just keeps going up and up and up. And on the retirement contribution, we're up 15% over last year. And I always make this comment, and hopefully it resonates, that when I first became supervisor, the retirement contribution was $105,000. That's all it was. Imagine, and that was with the employees up at that higher number, with 33% more employees, and of course more retirees. So it's been very challenging, but with regard to the budget, certainly our average is extraordinary, coupled with a AAA Moody's rating, coupled with the 0% stress designation from the New York State Comptroller's Office, plus the fact that we've never gone over the tax cap for any reason, even regarding capital improvements and whatnot. We've not done that. And we have healthy reserves. We did not draw down an excessive amount of money in our cash reserves. We also had made it a point to make our projections for revenue very modest. It would be easy to tack on another few $100,000 on mortgage tax, another few $100,000 on sales taxes, but if those revenues don't come in, you have a very significant hole in your budget, as was what happened up in Harrison a few years ago, and they had all kinds of issues. But we're conservative, we are prudent, and I think in this case, we've been very able to deliver a very competent and conservative budget. So with that being said, I'll open it up to the public. Does anyone like to comment about the budget process? All right, there being none, someone care to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, someone, I'm sorry, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, before we go to 8B, which I'd like to move up the agenda, which is actually action on the budget, we just have some minor modifications and amendments that I'd like to read into the budget so that we can amend the budget that we in fact will approve. The first is in the townwide budget. It's line A1110.100. Justice court salaries, we're adjusting them by $6,000 higher. That's the correct change for the judges' salaries. Then we have A02610, which is a reflection of that reallocation and change. And the reallocation is A03005 mortgage tax, where we've lowered our value, our anticipated revenue by $25,000. Hence the 6 and the 5 is the 31. Someone care to make a motion on those three townwide items?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, in our town outside budget, we just have a couple of minor corrections. These are not additions, or not, they're just adjustments and corrections. In the B01560, safety inspection fees, we're adjusting that by $4,225. The B3120.100, police salaries, adjusting that by $2,326. B3120.104, holiday pay, adjustment of $2,326, and in B3620.100, safety inspection, we're changing that by $4,225. Someone care to make a motion on the adjustments to the town outside B budget?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, with that being said, does anyone have any further comments on the budget? All right, there being none, I want to thank Dawn Donovan. I want to thank all the department heads that worked very hard on their budget. I'd also like to recognize the Lake Isle Advisory Board, who we meet with on an annual basis just for the purposes of reviewing the budget, among other meetings that we have with them. But they gave us several hours of their time. And also, of course, the town board members that have done a magnificent job working through the budget, going over things, checking out with Dawn and department heads. And, you know, people may remember that years ago, we assigned liaison responsibility to the board members, and that's worked out very well for the taxpayers of Eastchester, because all the board members are assigned to various departments, and they're invested in their departments and what they're doing there, what they're spending, what they can save. And the totality of it all is a very solid budget for Eastchester, Bronxville, and Tuckahoe. So with that being said, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 calendar year budget and ask for a second, please.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, now we can move on to the opportunity to address the board on any agenda items. Anyone? No, there being none, we'll move on to that. We'll move to the approval of minutes of the November 21st, 2023 regularly scheduled town board meeting. Any modifications or amendments?
No.
There being none, someone care to make a motion to approve same as submitted?
So moved.
All right. I'll second same. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Reports of departments, boards, and commissions. Law Department report, Mr. Rader.
Yes, good evening. First, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver a memorandum of understanding between the County of Westchester and the Town of Eastchester for remote access to the Westchester County Clerk's land records and legal files.
Great. This is a very useful tool, as the town of Eastchester and the police department are constantly going back and forth, looking for information, looking up subdivision maps, recorded documents, all kinds of different records maintained by the Division of Land Records and the county clerk's office. I'll make a motion on this. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing a settlement of a claim by Richard Crawford against the Town of Eastchester in the amount of $105,000 involving town personnel, which occurred on January 4th, 2023. Briefly, I could just summarize. I put a memo out to the board, but just briefly, this incident, as I said, happened beginning of the year. The police had received a radio call at a location, an apartment building, that there was an intoxicated individual. The police responded. There was some confrontation, and at that time, Mr. Crawford engaged the police, and one of the officers actually bumped him with his shoulder, knocked him over. He feigned injury, said he had a bad back. There was nothing substantial as far as injuries go, but however, he sued the town, as it always seems to be, for some different charges, but one of them being a civil rights violation, which unfortunately in the courts is very serious. The case was, brought to lawsuit. We did some discovery. We haven't finished discovery and depositions. However, our insurance company reached out to us and asked us to settle this case, despite the fact that I was a little reluctant to do so, because our exposure is so great on these kind of cases. There was potential punitive damages, and when you have civil rights violations, there's always a potential for a big verdict, and that was the concern of the insurance company. Out of our SIR, we spent, just to point out, we spent about $12,000 so far in legal fees. We have another $88,000 to go. So out of the $105,000, we have to put in our 88,000. The insurance companies can contribute the additional 17,000. As I said, despite all these facts, I still would recommend to the board that we settle this case for the amount of $105,000.
Sure. So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, and last, I have a resolution authorizing a settlement of a certiorari proceeding instituted by NIBUR 132 Parkway Road, Bronxville, New York, affecting the premises known as Section 4, Block 5, Lot 11, 132, as I said, Parkway Road. The assessment year on this property is 2022, the tax year is 2023, and the total town tax refund is $818.75.
So moved.
Second. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, that brings us to the correspondence agenda. A is a memorandum for the controller for part-time seasonal employees. We're going to add a food service helper for the senior program. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. 8B was the adoption of the budget. 8C, memorandum from the police chief regarding approval of the prisoner transportation contract. And this is to get ourselves a higher rate of reimbursement. Also, we'll get some reimbursement for any extended delay and for the need for a matron when a female prisoner has to be escorted. So this is good for Eastchester, and this period runs until the end of next year. So I'll make a motion on this. Ask for a second.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Lastly, on our correspondence agenda is a memorandum from the Superintendent of Highways regarding permission to go to bid for removal and disposal of the highway incinerator building. So on this subject matter, if anybody is familiar with the highway yard, or if you live within several miles of the highway yard, you see the incineration tower that has been there for a very, very long time. The incinerator building is not used. It is in deplorable shape. It needs to be knocked down. The only thing that we use is the very front of it, because it's where the garbage trucks used to dump all their, garbage, was used as a salt bay. So we keep salt up there, and, we load our trucks because there's a big open area there. But the building is crumbling. There's trees growing out of it. It needs to come down, as does the smoke stack that is kind of a landmark for many people that live in Green Knolls, Greenvale, Northeast Chester, or Leawood Park. Certainly the golfers at Leawood always see that on their seventh hole there. But it's cast iron lined, and Mr. Latella thinks it's, we can get a good price this time around. Years and years ago, we attempted to take the building down, but it was just cost prohibitive. So let's see what we come up with. Let's see what those numbers are. I think we're going to have success in that. We have a couple of people have told us it'll be a fraction of what we thought it would cost initially. At some point, probably after its demolition, we would end up coming to this board to talk about the construction of a salt shed or some kind of facility that would cover salt from rain. So we would be able to just load up the trucks and do our plowing and salt spreading. Anyway, with that being said, I would make the motion authorizing the Highway Department to go out to bid for the removal and disposal of the highway incinerator building, and ask for a second,
I'll
please.
second that.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. There being no miscellaneous business, that moves us to council member reports. Councilman Markocha.
Thank you, Supervisor. The town board met with the Lake Isle Advisory Board and Lake Isle Management last Tuesday to discuss the rates for 2024. A great deal of planning and discussions go into this process year after year, working diligently to maintain minimal increases, yet being fiscally responsible and providing for a sound budget. Some highlights for 2023 are as follows. The golf industry across the country continue to see increases in play, and this is certainly the case at Lake Isle. Golf daily fee revenues in 2023 were over $872,000, marking its best year ever. Further, the past 4 years are much greater than what was in the prior years. The same applies to golf outings, with a 45% increase in 2023 from the previous year, even greater than prior years, making it the highest in over 13 years. That's for golf outings. Moving along to pools, the pool daily fees and membership revenues had a drop due to a rainy late spring and early summer. The 2023 numbers were more comparable to those of 2021. We are taking steps to increase those numbers in the coming year. The early bird sign-up promotion this past August for 2024 membership was once again high and in line for 2023, the second highest in the past 5 years. And finally, capital improvements continued, including new paths, new car paths, and additional golf course repairs and improvements. The golf course irrigation master plan project is breaking ground next week. And then just on the town budget, this might be a little repetitive, but I do want to thank our town controller, Dawn Donovan, our supervisor, our town board members, and the entire staff for working so diligently to make this budget possible. The 2024 budget marks the 13th straight year that Eastchester would deliver a budget within the 2% tax cap. We have all been working hard to deliver a realistic budget during these inflationary times. The budget absorbs a 14% increase in health insurance premiums and a 15% increase in the pension system, with our estimated contribution at almost $3.2 million, an increase year over year of over $400,000. And finally, Moody's assigned us in August of 2003 a AAA rating, which is key in keeping our borrowing rates low. I believe this budget is fiscally responsible and preserves and maintains essential municipal services and our quality of life. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Dooley.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd also like to commend the controller and our office for the budget this year, working with all the department heads, the town boards, their involvement as well, and also the Lake Isle Advisory Board. Their help is always great. So another great budget, and look forward to future budgets. And I'd also like to just remind people to shop local. During the holiday season, I think it's good that we support our local restaurants and businesses. So, get out there and support our local businesses, shop local, and eat local. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicholson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. On the library front, we have, starting tomorrow, Eastchester Public Library Mystery Club at 2:30. They're going to be talking about the Christmas Party by Georgette Hare. On Thursday, they have a Teen Advisory Board sticker making. That's on 4 o'clock on Thursday. Join us for the Teen Advisory Board, a meeting and sticker making program. These are for teens grades 6 and up, and you could register at the library. Friday, there's a film, Little Fockers, at 10:30 and 1:30 showing. That's a comedy, of course.
You watch your language, okay?
Yep, I was watching. And the ongoing programs, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they have the open game days, conditioning with Lisa, Knitwits, and crochet with Faith. So always a lot happening at the library, and if you have any questions, you could call 914-793-5055, or you can email them or go online to www.eastchesterlibrary.org. In addition, I wanted to thank Dawn for all her hard work and efforts. It was a very smooth, I know on our end it was a smooth process. Thank you. And I'm going to do another shout out like last time. I would like to remind the community, all of us, to slow down our town and obey the law, stop at the stop signs and stop at the red lights. And I will add to stay off your phones. And if I could recommend, I watched an awesome podcast by Neil Grassi Tyson on multitasking. I highly recommend a watch of it. It's about a half hour long and very educational. So that is all I have. Happy holidays to all. Happy Hanukkah this Thursday.
Thank you. Councilwoman Marcotte.
Thank you, Supervisor. First, I'd like to just recognize Sally Veltidi and her staff, as well as Franco Batista and his staff, with regard to the holiday recreational events that they have been running. And the town looks great, and it looks festive, and Town Hall looks wonderful, and so many people came out this past weekend to enjoy the event. And so it was a great event. I hope you had a chance to stop by. I would also recognize Dawn and her staff, and of course the supervisor and this town board. It is a working town board, and a lot of work goes into the budget. There are a lot of things we could do, and I know I say it every year, that it's important to point out the things we didn't do, and that would be inflate some, imaginary rates and increase the parking meters, for example, just to come up with some fluff and some revenue, but we don't do that. And, everybody up here, and of course in Dawn's office, and all the department heads, quite frankly, roll up their sleeves, put their pencil to paper to come up with a real budget that reflects just basically what the needs are of the town, what we need to get by and to pay our bills, and that we're not passing it on to the taxpayers, especially in this time with the economy as is. Supervisor mentioned that when he was first supervisor, he recalls that the pension contribution, I think he said it was $100,000. When I was a trustee in the Village of Tuckahoe in 2002, the pension contribution was $14,000. So it just goes to show that we have come such an incredible long way in terms of what the contributions are. And I think that, when the state had good intentions when they added the additional tiers, telling us that it was going to level off, I don't quite think that has come to fruition, sadly. So I would also echo the sentiment of Joe, shop local. We have so many great stores and great restaurants, and partake and go out while the weather is still good. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and I'll give one shout out again to our snow angels, because even though it hasn't snowed yet, it is predicted that we are going to get a very snowy winter, an icy winter. So if you have it in your heart to become a snow angel, or if you would like a snow angel, you can send us an email at Tuckahoe Snow Angels, and we will try to accommodate you in that regard. And that concludes my report, Supervisor.
Thank you. Most of my report was covered by all the board members, with the exception of one item. Just want to remind everybody that if it snows, you need to get your car off the street. We are no longer enforcing the December to March no parking rule on the streets from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. You can leave your cars on the street at that time. However, if it snows, you must remove your car from the street. And you can sign up for a notification on the town website, which I highly recommend. However, it is not our obligation to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, it's snowing, get your car off the street. If it's snowing, your car's got to come off the street, just like you did over the last few years. And those premises, those houses that have a special exemption, and those streets that are exempt, like, for example, portions of Manchester, Glen Road, a couple of streets around town, you can leave your car on the street in the old law, and you can leave it on the street now, okay? And if you're one of the houses that has an exemption because of a 24-hour nurse situation or whatever the case might be, you're still exempt. That's okay. But everybody else, if it snows, you got to get your car off the street. And we urge you to sign up. Please sign up. It's not a bad idea to do that. Further, on the 7th, we will have our Pearl Harbor ceremony at 7:45 here in front of Town Hall. There'll be some light refreshments thereafter. But our veterans are putting together the program. It's a great idea. I highly recommend you attend. It's, it's kind of moving. For years, they were going to the schools and educating the kids all about Pearl Harbor, because other than, a flash on a screen or a page of a textbook, there wasn't a lot of focus on it. But these gentlemen and ladies are making sure that our kids remember. So that's on the 7th here at Town Hall in the morning. And I urge everyone to attend if you are able. And that concludes my report, and that brings us over to the second opportunity to address the board. Mr. Sweeney, how are you, sir? Merry Christmas, Frank.
Yes, same to you. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. Very short notice. The Eastchester Civic Association will have its annual tree lighting on this Friday at Racino Park at 5:45. Santa will be there. We recommend that all the newer residents of the North Eastchester participate, even though they may not be members of the association. You're all invited as well. We'd like to also thank the board for the enhancements to Racino Park. I don't know if you've been by there or not, but it's first class. The fencing and the benches that were put in there will gladly be used by all the people that use the park, as well as we'd also like to encourage, like Joe said, is to encourage the long-term sponsor of the tree lighting, which is the Bagel Tree Stump. And they've been there for the last 15 years, and they contribute to us in terms of the capabilities of having hot chocolate and cookies for the children, as well as gifts all around. So we do
And
appreciate it.
I understand that Santa's going to make an appearance there also, is that correct?
He will
Yes.
be there. Yep.
Well, we had chatted about the fence many years ago, and we finally had a couple extra dollars, and we said, you know what, let's improve that park, because we'd also been approached by a lot of younger residents that had said, hey, you know, my kids like to go run around there, and, you know, I don't want them, because the entirety of the park is surrounded by parking spots.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of younger families are nervous about their kids roaming around, so we thought that was a good idea, and it looks nice. You know, we could put up like a polyvinyl, but we put up a nice wooden post and rail fence. I think it's very stated and very appropriate, and we thank you for your support and your suggestion on that, and we'll see you for the tree lighting for sure.
Great feedback from all the residents on the north end. People wanted to know, you know, what happened in terms of how we got it done, but basically for your efforts in terms of the board, we got it done, and it looks first class, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay.
Okay, someone care to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.